The following presentation is brought to you by the Pride of ODU, the official NIL collective of Old Dominion Athletics. Be a monarchist. Join the Pride. Monarch Nation, welcome back to the Monarchist Basketball Show. Today is all about recruiting. So we had none other than Coach Roland Jones joining us because he is the face of ODU women's basketball recruiting. Well, thanks for joining us today, Ro. How you doing?
Doing great. Snowed in New Orleans, Louisiana. So stuck in the hotel. Hopefully I'll get out in the morning, fly to Charlotte, drive down to Boone, North Carolina, and catch up with the team, and get on the floor Thursday night and get that victory.
Mike, before you get started, when was the last time that someone actually got snowed in New Orleans? I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of the world.
You could tell that the people in the hotel, when I actually left the hotel, got on the road and thought I was just going to be able to drive through the snow. They had shut down all the exits to all the highways and the interstate. So I couldn't even get on. I had to actually come back, check back into my hotel. And now I'm, just hanging out, enjoying watching some TV. It's actually good for me because I don't get to sleep that much. Like, I'm on the road quite a bit and, in and out of town. So this is actually pretty cool for me just to be able to just lounge and just relax. But what's crazy is I do have to get on the phone and talk to some recruits here shortly. So work is work.
All right. Well, we appreciate you giving us the time today. So I first we want to do this kind of educationally so fans can kind of understand more of the process, the challenges, and kind of everything that you're going through on a day-to-day basis. So let's start from the beginning. At the beginning of each season, when do you start mapping out the recruiting for the next season?
I don't think there's a point in time where you're starting to map out. I think you're actually mapping out in the middle of the season, or it may be earlier. I think you're already kind of watching how your team is going, and you're mapping out kind of how as you go, pretty much. Like, I don't think it's like, okay, on the season ends, let's say March 12th, and we're gonna have these big recruiting meetings, and we're gonna start mapping this thing out on the first Monday after we lose. Like, no, like, we're mapping out the whole way through, because I'm getting calls from AAU teams or different people in the business telling me this kid or that kid may be in the portal, or about a JUCO kid or a high school kid. So it's really not a map out process. You're just constantly on the move and you're constantly on the go, just putting the jigsaw puzzle together.
So obviously you are kind of the mastermind behind the recruiting process for Old Dominion. You're out on the road. You're the one usually identifying these athletes. But what are the other staff members? What's their role in recruiting?
So during the season, it's kind of tough. Like, so game day, I handle personnel, which I'm breaking down every player, what they do and what they don't do. Coach Josh Pace, our new coach, is over the other team's offense. Coach Danielle is over the other team's defense. So for them to leave during mass amounts or leaving for days at a time during the season is pretty tough, because they're the one that has to break down the other team. They do a lot more recruiting in the summertime, going out to these big-time high school events or whatnot, and pretty much during the season, it's tough for all of us to get out, to go out on the road. So it's really just me going out. Now, towards the end, so that we all can lay eyes on a player that we really know that we're about to sign, at some point in time, Josh may go out for a day and get right back and give his feedback on the kid, or Coach Danielle the same. And, Coach D doesn't like it, but I make her go get out on the road too. Even if she has to miss a practice, like, no, you got to go. You got to know it's great that you trust me, but you need to see this kid too. It's not only that she needs to see the kid, but the kid needs to see her too. So, they're always seeing me walk in the gym. Like, there goes Coach Rowe. So when they see Coach Danielle or Coach Josh, they know that it's pretty serious. So, that's the process. It's just during the season, man. It's really tough. Like, I went to watch a game in Mississippi last night. It only worked out because they played on Monday. But most teams usually play on Wednesday and Saturdays, or Thursday and Saturdays on the JUCO side of things, or high schools, and it's the same days that we play. So sometimes I don't even get a chance to go out.
You're not kidding about it being a multi-front war when it comes to recruiting there, and Delisha seeing them. when I interviewed Don Manila and Sophia Johnson from tennis, I asked Sophia, "It's like, why ODU? Like, what made you choose here?" And she said when Dom was recruiting her, she knew and she felt that she was a priority and not an option. I think that goes to what you're saying there with everybody taking a look and that student athlete understanding that they're a priority and not just an option.
I'll take it even a step further. Like, it may be times to where, sometimes you go through, they may talk to me or another, the other two assistants. But if a kid is really, really important, like, I'll put them on the phone with D right away so that they can start building that bond and that relationship. Not saying that us as assistant coaches aren't important, because we are, but the most important coach that's important is Coach D, our head coach. So if a kid is really that important, like, I'll be like, nah, D, you need to start building that relationship with her. We can always come in on the back end and pop in and, they can get a chance to know us. But, these kids are coming to this university because it's a phenomenal university, but they're really coming for the head coach. That's just what it is. At least in our situation, the logo in women's basketball is an amazing thing. But then you add the benefit of having Coach Alicia and who she is in the basketball world. It's like kind of like a no-brainer.
All right. So there's challenges of benefits to recruiting wherever you decide to go, high school, junior college, transfer portal. So let's talk about that for a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with high school.
Okay.
So what are the challenges and the benefits of recruiting high school student athletes in today's game?
The benefits. We play in the Sun Belt Conference. It is a very JUCO-driven, portal-driven league. So if I'm a high school kid and we sign a high school kid like Mariah Clayton, you have to go after the best of the best high school kids, because you want these kids to be able to come in and give you something right away. Like, we don't, like, not saying that we're not in the business of developing high school kids, which we can, but in our league, they got to be able to come in and do something right away. And I think the benefits, as a high school kid, if I get an offer from ODU, it's really like getting a P4 offer. It's really like getting an offer. Like, I tell these kids all the time, like, you're getting an offer from like Notre Dame, UConn, South Carolina. That is what an ODU offer is, and that is the the level, and that is the standard. What ODU stands for as far as women's basketball. So we love high school kids, but if we do get one, they have to come out of a well-known program. They have to be really well coached. They have to be seasoned, because they have to. You just can't be a kid that's coming from a bottom high school and average 30, but you've never been coached. You never been taught the pick and roll coverages. You never been, you're just out there hooping, but you never played basketball. Like we have some hoopers and we have some basketball players, but if you're gonna play for Coach Alicia Milton-Jones, you got to be able to play basketball, and it starts here first. It starts with the concept in the mind, and what can you think and hold on to on a daily basis, more than the physical side of things. So high school kids, if we sign a high school kid, you better know, oh, that kid must be special. And I'll piggyback on it. Like, we signed another kid out of Duncanville High School. Layla Coleman is her name. She signed early, had torn ACL and all, and we still signed her. And that's how special she is. One of the best shooters I've seen in high school. She was probably the best shooter in the state of Texas coming out of high school, and we still signed her on a torn ACL. She hasn't even played a high school game this year, so she's going to be a valuable asset coming in and going down the road and have an understanding of how to be coached on this level.
All right. So continuing on that challenges and benefits. What are the
Okay.
challenge and benefits you're seeing to recruiting portal athletes?
The portal's so tricky. It's so tricky because a kid is leaving for a particular reason, right? So usually the benefits obviously is a kid is already seasoned, has played on a certain level, is different from a high school kid or a JUCO kid, because they're playing on a P5, a P4 level, or a level that we play on a mid-major level. So their adaptability and they're being able to come in and just plug and play should be a lot easier than a JUCO kid or a high school kid. But what we've run into is that it's not always worked out for us because these portal kids, they come in with issues and problems, and it takes them time to get caught up to speed. Now, the benefit is definitely they understand the language, they understand the day-to-day situation as far as coming to practice, going to study hall, getting treatment. They understand the day-to-day walk on this level compared to a JUCO kid or a high school kid. So they understand what practice is going to be about because they've done it. But really, what type of program are they coming from? Is the program that they're coming from the same standard of ODU? Like, I use for example, like a kid coming from Memphis, their standard of a program, it may be different from ours, and they may struggle because what Coach Alicia may be asking from them, that wasn't a demand, or they weren't asked of that at Memphis, and that's hypothetically me saying that, or a kid from Wichita State or a kid from SMU. You just trust me. Even getting these portal kids, the benefit is definitely that they've already played on the college stage and they touched the floor at some point in time, so they shouldn't be shell shocked coming in and not being up to speed. You asked me the benefit and the what? What was the next?
The challenges. So, I mean, I think you've kind of mapped it out there. Like, they're leaving for a reason. Like, either they're not producing, or you also talk about how they might not have the right mentality to play for Delisha. So, I think you kind of walked us through both.
If I didn't, tell me, because I want this to be educational enough. I could be saying the same thing over and over though. But
No, you're good. But you got
the
third leg of this stool is the junior college. It's the JUCO. So there's obviously some pros and cons to JUCO. We have a number of junior college players on this team in half. So what are the pros and cons of junior colleges on with regards to bringing them into your program?
I'm a JUCO product. I love them because number one, the benefits is that they're hungry. They want the scholarship. They want to come to this level. They want to produce. They come on visits to our school and they think they're at Notre Dame. They think they're at South Carolina, and they're looking at what we have, and they're like, "Dang, I could come and play in front of these fans. I can play in this arena." Just the benefit is that they're hungry, and usually you can plug them in right away and play. Now the con is every JUCO, like Northwest Florida is the number one JUCO. Usually, like they lost to Hutch this past year, but usually they're in the Final Four of the National JUCO tournament. I go to this every year. You get a kid from Northwest Florida, and Bart Walker, who is one of the premier coaches in the JUCO world. You're gonna get a tough kid. A kid is gonna be coachable. They understand the terminology. They play in a college system already. So their adaptability, or them being pushed into a system to ODU, they're like Kay Clark, like she was able to come in and provide something right away to where you can go get another JUCO kid, like another good JUCO, Hutch out of Kansas. We're recruiting one of their top players, the number one power forward in the JUCO world. We're top on her list. The one thing we know about her right away is that she's going to be able to come in and understand the terminology and being able to play from day one. You go get another kid that played in Seward in Kansas, who may be dropping 20 a night, but she's just dropping 20 a night. And you're really getting her for her talent, more or less, than her being able to be plugged in right away and understanding the terminology. Because you get a lot of kids that just haven't been coached. They're just out there just hooping and they're just playing. But there is a place for a kid like that too, though. Because at the end of the day, like y'all said, we've had lulls to where we're not scoring. So you do need a kid that can come in and just go get a bucket for you and provide you something. It may be a top role player for you. So the pros is definitely a kid that's playing at a great program that can come in and just think the game and know it. But then the cons is getting a kid that really hasn't been coached but has the talent to do it.
All right, so you've stressed mentality and your answers here. When you're recruiting an athlete, how hard is that to identify in an athlete if whether they're going to be mentally strong enough to compete here?
Mike, that is a phenomenal question, because sometimes with these kids, Mike and Aaron, you just don't know until you get them. You can go watch them play 8, 9, 10 times, and you think they have the mentality. But then when you get them in your own system, it's like, who is this kid? Like, I recruited this kid the whole time. Like, you just don't know him until you get him into an ODU practice uniform. You just don't know. And the coaches, first of all, the JUCO coaches, they're gonna tell you all the right things anyway, because they want that kid to get the opportunity to come to ODU. Like, there's one or two coaches I can say out there they'll tell you the truth. Like, hey, Ro, the kid is talented. Now I'll take a look at her, but she might not cut the mustard. But then you have a lot of these coaches, they're just trying to get these kids out, trying to get them signed or whatnot. But it's really hit or miss, because there's been some kids that I did not think would have the mentality and would be able to come in right away and do it, and they do it. Then there's some kids you would think they're just gonna come in here and knock it out the park, and they struggle. Like, I'm talking about majorly struggle. Like one of our best players right now, that is a JUCO kid, a junior. Her first 2 months, she cried every day. And when I say cried, I mean cried. Because her biggest thing was, she was like, dang, I went to JUCO for 2 years and they didn't teach me nothing. And she's now, the beauty of it is when these kids finally figure it out, and you see the brain is clicking and they moving, they're doing stuff without hesitation, it's beautiful. But everybody's process is different, man. It's really like going to Vegas and playing and putting a million on black and a Russian roulette, and you like 13 black, and that ball gets to hopping and the bouncing and clicking, and sometimes 13 black, but then sometimes yeah, but then sometimes it might be 11 red, and you like shit. So man, in today's society with these kids, man, it's really like playing poker, blackjack, and roulette all into one.
Well, you got the right guy right there, because Mike knows all those games, and
Okay.
if I ever got a question on that kind of stuff, I'm the wrong guy.
Okay. So
I
Mike, you've been to a couple casinos in your day.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You and I'm probably shouldn't say this on there, but you and Delisha need to hang out. I could tell y'all the story. Every time they would go play Connecticut Sun at the Mohegan Sun Casino, D would stay up to 3. If the bus left at 6, D was coming back to the room at 5:45. Like, she would stay up all night and play blackjack. And wouldn't win a dime, but she would stay up all night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
yeah.
All right, Aaron.
All
what
right.
you got?
NIL. Obviously, we spent a lot of time, Mike and I spent a lot of time talking and thinking about NIL collective at the prideofODU.com. Obviously, things are changing. It seems like every single day with regards to collegiate athletics and those sorts of things. How has NIL impacted, you and recruiting in college basketball, or has it really not impacted you that much yet?
I think we're about to go down that road to where it's going to be impactful for us. It hasn't really impacted us as of now. I mean, we have great cost of attendance. I think they're about to get some money called Austin money, to where, I think it hasn't really impacted us yet, but I think we're about to go down in that road and get in the Shark Tank with all these other sharks, and hopefully we don't get bit. We're in the cage, looking at all these beautiful sharks, swim by, but now it hasn't really impacted us yet. Like, I'm not a big fan. I'll just be real with you. I think the kids definitely deserve it, me being a fellow player, but it's tough, man, because when you start giving money, there's going to be expectations when you're giving out big dollars to certain players, from not only from the program and the school, but from fans. And I just think that's tough, because you can't, there's no guarantee in this thing that you're going to get what you need out of every player that you bring in here.
Yeah. And before you go any further, we are a part of the collective. I just want to make sure you know that.
Yeah, for sure. 1,000%. So you being a part of the collective, what are you expecting out of your investment?
Well, from a fan's perspective, is that what
Any perspective you want to give?
someone who as I mean, obviously somebody, a member of the collective, they all have different expectations.
Okay.
There are some members of the collective who just love giving to Old Dominion, just like to ODAF, and they have no their expectation is that the people who are stewards of their money treat it well and they take care of the student athletes and the programs. Then you got other folks who look at it as a return on investment and they're like, I gave X amount. What are the results on the court? So I think it's very different depending upon who you ask. Then you got like guys like me and Mike who do this as a hobby because we love Old Dominion and we're trying to give the programs and the student athletes the tools to be able to compete at a minimum at the top of our peers. We should be able to compete at the top, be the best in the Sun Belt as a starting point. That's
I agree.
So
I agree.
And I will say this from my own personal self. I'm a big fan of nonprofits. I work for a healthcare company. For me, what I can give back, I try to give back because I want others to have the opportunity that I had to build a life for themselves. And I know some of these kids, every dollar matters because it might be the difference between them lasting another semester here or dropping out or transferring. And I want them to feel supported when they're at Old Dominion, proud to be a Monarch. And I think that money can help make that happen more successfully, I guess.
I agree 1,000%. I think our resources is phenomenal at ODU. I think us and obviously JMU are at the top of the food chain in the Sun Belt Conference. From what I understand, I think we have the biggest budget, I think, from what I understand and whatnot. But the collective does put us in a different ballpark now. Now, what I will say, I do understand this thing a lot more now. What I want to say, what it does do, like a top JUCO kid, I just use this for an example because it happens all the time. It'll come down to like us and Clemson. I think it puts us in a situation now to where we can go to the table, sit down at the blackjack table, and we can play now. Before the kids were just going to P4 for the money, and not like I'll give you an example. Can't really say the kid's name, and I know y'all are not answering. So you asked me about recruiting earlier. With the portal, I'll give you an example. You would not. There are kids on rosters right now that they're knowing that they're going to go in the portal as soon as the season is over. Not the coach doesn't even know. So I'll give you an example. We have a kid at a P4. She came down to us in a school in the Big 12. She chose to go that route. They threw some money at her. If we had this kid, I could almost guarantee that we will win. That we will win conference this year. She's that good of a point guard. Chose to go to a school in the Big 12. Now, this kid's people are hitting me back. Hey, we made a mistake. She's getting in the portal. I hit you as soon as they play their last game. We'll reach out. This is an AU coach, obviously. Give me a call. Like she knows she screwed up. She's a starting point guard in the Big 12 and one of the bottom teams in the Big 12. Numbers is not like that, but she's a phenomenal talent, and she will be the difference between us winning and losing a championship at ODU this year. So that's where I feel like the collective and everything, it benefits us. Am I making sense of what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Okay. Okay. So there. Now this is where it gets scary for me, and I want to break this down to y'all. So I think with the collective and the NIL, which is two different things, I think the resources are coming from ODU. Now this is what scares me. The cons. Y'all said the cons about this portal is going to get the 13, 14, 15 kid off the Tennessee roster or Ole Miss or South Carolina, a kid that's not playing. But a kid is not playing. You give this kid this money. This kid doesn't play whatsoever, doesn't touch the floor. Then we get the kid to come down to our level, and we're expecting for this kid to come in here and kill it But realistically, they're not gonna come in and kill it because they didn't play at South Carolina. They let me tell you, playing is something like if you're gonna get a top 40 kid, you want a kid that has actually been in the fight and not sitting on the bench for a whole year. Cause I'm telling you, not playing the game for a year, you're out of touch in so many different areas. And of course, if we get a kid from Tennessee, all of our wonderful fans and you both are gonna be looking at this kid like, well, shit, this kid's coming from Tennessee. This kid was this in high school. Y'all are going to expect production, and it doesn't always level out that way. So that's the scary part for me. Because now I think with the situation we're in, I think I can go into some other rooms now and recruit some other type of kids. But I just don't know, is it going to cash out from the jump? Or is it going to take a minute and go down the road some months or a year before the kid can produce and do something? So that's the cons for me.
Hey, there's a good example of that right now on the men's basketball team. And Mike Jones has talked about it a lot. Callum is a talented big man, but he has not played a lot of college basketball because he was a last minute guy off the bench to come in and commit fouls. Really, he hasn't played much basketball in the last 2 years, and he's finally playing it now. And we're seeing like he's got to relearn the process of being the guy. And he's not there yet, but it's going to take some time, and he'll eventually get there. So I think for me now, I have a live example of exactly what you just said, and so do most men's basketball fans. Ro, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to have you come back on.
Or part two.
Absolutely. Because
I need it.
One part of the interview is the recruiting offerings we're going to be offering, inside information we're going to be offering on the prideofodu.com, thanks to our relationship with you and the rest of the ODU women's basketball team and our support and of the program. So I'm excited about this relationship and growing it and having you back on. So thank you so much for joining us today. Stay tuned, fans. It's going to grow.
Thank you. Anytime y'all need me on here, this is what I love to do. I love to talk, and I hope I answered the questions in the right ways. If not, we can break it down even more in a part two. But we're in a new world of athletics, though. So let's jump in. Let's see what can happen. And like all three of us on here, we want ODU to win at the end of the day, and we want to be champions again. And we're gonna do that. You can quote me on that. We're gonna do that. So
Coach,
y'all have a phenomenal evening.
Coach Rowe, I want you guys to win so much here that we can't afford you anymore.
That's a good problem to have. That's a good problem to have because people would be trying to hire you away. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, y'all will be very, very, very surprised how me and Coach Delisha are blessed to do this because it's not promised. If Georgia calls, we're going to be afforded the same opportunity to coach with each other. So Norfolk, Virginia is home for us. And everybody's saying, I don't believe you, Coach Rowe. I know y'all are going to win in league. Like, let me tell y'all a quick tidbit, and I know we got to go. You've been in the practice facility, right?
Oh, yeah.
Y'all see those coaches' names, those head coaches' names that are on that floor?
Yep.
Delisha wants her name on that floor more than you will ever realize. She can't do that at University of Florida. She can't do that at the University of Georgia. Like I'm telling you, this means something to me, man. It does. I don't say a lot to the fans, but I remember Nancy Lieberman playing for the Dallas Diamonds in a professional league in my hometown. I know Tisha Pinachero. Delisha played with Tisha, so I know the great Tisha Pinachero. So for me to know people that did a great thing for this, I know what this means. So when I go out and sell it, it's easy. And then you level the greatness of ODU and the standard with Delisha Milton-Jones, the legend, the Hall of Famer. Like, that's a powerful combination. The only thing is left is for us to bring a championship home and get back in the NCAA tournament, and then we can build from there. That's what I want. Let's get back in the NCAA tournament and let's make a run. And let's see what happens, and we can build even more from there. And we're going to do that. You can quote me on that.
Let's do it. I will
Let's do
reword
it.
what I said then. How about I want you to be in a position where you have to turn down these other jobs because you are winning so much.
Damn
I
straight.
appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Awesome.
Thank
Roland,
you, sir.
we'll see
Thank
you
you
soon.
both, Aaron and Mike.
Good luck getting out of the snow. Drive safely to App State. And
Thank
go
you.
Monarchs.
Thank you.
Go
Go
Monarchs.
Monarchs.